Hello, everyone. I'm the story man, and today I'm doing the final part of what if Deku was a vampire samurai. So, we start off with All Might winning against All for One in the previous video. And just when All Might was about to leave in the helicopter, he saw the camera and pointed it at it. And this caught the attention of everybody. With this being specifically for Izuku and All Might saying, "Now it's your turn." The Izuku knew that this message was actually for him. And instead of crying this time, he saluted to All Might, exactly like how Snake did in the MGS 3 color. And we fast forward to Aizawa. He was telling the class that they'll be in dorms for now. But before they entered, he told them that about the situation that happened recently, and that some of the kids either knew about the plan or went in to save Bakugo despite knowing that they're not supposed to. And then he said in a threatening voice that if it wasn't for All Might retirement, he would be expelling everybody except the few that had nothing to do with it. But then afterwards, he acted nonchalant and welcomed the whole class to the dorms. And everyone was surprised to see something this big. And they all looked around and stuff like that. And they also, just like in the original story, wanted to do a room contest. And they start off with Izuku first this time as well. And what they saw wasn't just All Might figures this time. It was also a lot of, let's say, European stuff, since that's where Alucard nationality is. So Izuku, that wants to cherish his father history, did some research about the past as well, and has his katana displayed at the side with pictures of a lot of ancient stuff. With the whole class, not the whole class, with the people that were there, they were surprised to see that a kid around this modern age of time still would care that much about the past. Well, what do you expect from a vampire anyways, to be honest? Anyways, after this, Azawa informed them about the entrance exam, and they went there in the bus to start doing it. And when that one kid with the earthquake quirk came to them, Izuku, with heightened senses, knew that the guy was bullcrapping. And when he was giving him compliments, he told him, if you're gonna give fake compliments, do it somewhere else. because I'm not the type of person to hang out with fake people. And Kirishima thought that Izuku was just being mean and just apologized to the guy, just like how he did with Bakugo in canon. And after a little while, they went inside the place and started the entrance exam. And Izuku, knowing that the other kids from the other schools knew about their powers, so he recommended that they stay in one group to help each other out. However, this did not last long, as just like in canon, the guy with the earthquake quirk that made them separated with each other. However, Izuku, not showing all of his abilities in the UA Festival, was not really concerned about this. And just like in the original story, everyone went through their own events exactly the same. However, Izuku was a bit different this time, because when he was getting jumped, he was able to casually fight back, actually, like it was nothing. And when he saw Uraraka falling, he immediately knew that wasn't her and saved her. However, as soon as he saved her, this time, he left her on the floor and instantly disappeared, with him finding Jiro and the true Uraraka later. And he started talking with them about the imposter. Anyway, later on, they were eventually able to get points from the other students. And then they had to do rescue training now, with Izuku being more intellectable. I mean, just intellect. Having more IQ when say the stupid question to the old man and asked him a violent one. And then he started helping out a lot more he was able to than in canon. He was able to use his telekinesis to hold the boulders in place. He was able to quickly use his dash technique to rescue the other people that were fake injured. And they all were taking notes of how impressive Izuku was. And when the exam was over, Bakugo and Shoto failed, but everyone else passed, with Izuku taking the #1 chart of how good he was. And he was happy with himself that he was able to do this and got his license exam. His license, his hero license. And however, Bakugo wanted to know more about the Izuku situation, so eventually he started to come up to him and told him about that they're gonna have a conversation later. And so at the middle of the night they did, with Bakugo telling him, I know that even though your vampiric quirk has multiple abilities, I've never seen you with the lightning one before. And I then remember that the main boss, All For One, also had multiple quirks as well. And I was thinking about that one time when you told me that you had to borrow a quirk. And that's when I put two and two together. that the new abilities that you've been demonstrating lately, you got this from All Might, didn't you? Izuku, knowing that lying wouldn't do any good, just stood quiet. And Bakugo said, well, you're not denying it, so it must be true then. And that's when they started getting ready to a fight, with Deku losing only because he wanted Bakugo to have an easier way to express himself to him, because Izuku knew that this wasn't all about just all for one for all. And that's when Bakugo explained the truth, that he blamed himself for All Might's retirement, and Izuku, acknowledging it, just continued fighting with him until he lost. And that's when All Might came to have them stop, put some sense into them about this, but then had that same conversation with Bakugo. And when they returned, of course Izawa was gonna be very mad at them and had them in house arrest. And when Izuku was taking out the trash, that's when he met Mirio through the wall. However, Izuku, knowing that he was there this time due to his almost 360 vision, said, is that a pre-mission quirk you have by any chance? With Mirio being shocked that he was able to detect his presence so easily, telling him, more or less you can say that. So you're supposed to be Izuku, right? With Izuku making direct eye contact this time, saying, yes, that is me. I see that you knew who I am even before you came. With Mirio telling him, that's right, and you see soon why. With him disappearing. And the day when Izuku finally wasn't in house arrest anymore, that was the same day when Mirio came and challenged all of them. And just like in the original story, he was able to beat all of them. However, this time, Izuku had a secret trick up his sleeve. So when Mirio tried to attack Izuku this time didn't try dodging. Counter-attacking. He acted oblivious on purpose, like he didn't know where he was at. And just when Mirio was about to attack him, that's when his fist went through Izuku, with him shocked at what was happening. And that's when Izuku teleported behind him with after image technique and knocked him out. Later on, when Mirio woke up, he gathered himself up and was shocked of how impressive Izuku really was. If we're telling him that he's like literally one of the strongest persons he ever met, with Izuku accepting the kind gesture. And afterwards they started talking more to each other, with Mirio telling him about Sir Nai, and telling and then later on talking with All Might, and that's when they decided to go to Nai's place for Izuku to train him. And that is when Nai saw Izuku, with Izuku trying to do the All Might's favorites, but Just like in the original story, he's hard to impress. However, when not when Muriel and I think Rebel Girl left, that is when not I started talking to Izuku about that Muriel should have been the one to have all for one. One for all. With him telling him, what could you possibly do? With Izuku activating one for all, went in quickly and was about to land a hit. However, Night Eye dodged it. If Izuku being impressed with him telling him, you want to see what I can do? I'll show you. With Night Eye, before Izuku used his technique, Night Eye was in complete shock of what he was about to witness. And that is when Izuku used his technique, which is the blazing after image, where he had multiple after images around Night Eye, with Night Eye not knowing which one is it, even with his future sight. And that is when, by the time that Night Eye knew which one was the real one, it was too late, because Night Eye, despite being in a good physique, is incapable of dodging fast enough. And so Izuku was able to hit him, and he almost got knocked out from being impressed and saying that you definitely were actually a good all-for-one user for All Might to select. With him telling him thank you. With Izuku telling him thank you before he offered a hand for Night Eye to get up. Later on, that is when Muriel and Izuku started talking in the street. And they were talking about Muriel's costume, with Muriel telling him that that the number on his shirt represents the people that he will save. And while this was happening, that is when they met Mary, I think her name was, and Overhaul. And just like in canon, Izuku thought that this whole situation was suspicious. And while they were walking in the alleyway, Izuku told him, why does she have bandages around her? With Overall making an excuse saying that she recently hurt herself and that was it. However, while he was saying this, he was taking off his gloves. And when Izuku saw this, he got his katana ready. However, Eri let go and quickly went to Overhaul, with Izuku getting really pissed off this time, knowing that Eri was doing this just to protect them. He was about to unsheath his sword completely until Muriel stopped him. And later on, they had the same meeting, with them realizing that how much Eri was in a bad situation, with them getting very serious about this, and they get ready to go into the mafia's house to save Eri. And this completely went exactly how it is in the original story, until when Overhaul was about to shoot a bullet at Muriel. However, this time Izuku was able to stop it from coming, and was able to quickly take on Overhaul with 50% one for all, and him being serious unsheathing his sword as well. had overall in a critical state. However, just when Izuku was about to sheath his sword all the way down, that is when All for One came, with both Muriel and Izuku being shocked at what was happening. With Izuku telling him, "How the hell did you escape the prison?" With All for One telling him, "Honestly, I was planning on escaping eventually. However, not this early. Because you see, I happen to have a part of this ancient being's body part, which is the heart of Dracula. However, even though he was able to use some power of this divine treasure, he couldn't completely use his powers. And so that is when he said, I'm going to need your quirk, little mafia," before he stole Overhaul's quirk and used it to combine Dracula's heart with All for One. And that is when All for One started transforming. All for One, the symbol of evil, the demon lord of my own making. And yet, power is not enough. I will transcend. I will become eternal. All for One no longer. I cast away my fake form. I embrace true dominion. Behold, I am no longer All for One. I am Dracula. And the world shall kneel in eternal night. And Izuku, with this revelation, got completely serious and used 100% One for All, even though he's only able to handle 90%. Well, actually, let's say 88%. Told Muriel to get Eri out quickly. Muriel, being skeptical but had no choice, left. And that is when Izuku and All for One had their final battle. Izuku using his sword to quickly go for the head. However, All for One completely took out his own weapon and dodged it, barely missing an inch or a few centimeters. Izuku then quickly went back. However, Dracula was not there, and when Izuku realized he was behind him, it was too late. With All for One doing a massive energy slash at Izuku, blasting him off all the way into the wall, with Izuku coughing up blood before he fell to the ground. And Izuku struggled to get up. His whole body was hurting from that attack. And also to mention that he's not ready to use All for One 100% yet. But Izuku still got up eventually, with him saying to himself that he needs more power, with him unleashing 1,000,000% of One for All, with him becoming completely an almost green. However, that is when he started having the red scalia, just like Alucard did in Castlevania Nocturne, when he got completely serious. And that is when Izuku's sword becomes flaming red with green lightning coating around it as well. And that is when Izuku charged with a full dash attack at Dracula, with Dracula actually barely managing to hold the attack off. He did transform into multiple bats, get out of the way, and then got up into the air and released an energy ball at Izuku. With Izuku doing a Detroit smash at the energy ball, changes directory, and missed Izuku. However, All for One in Dracula completely used his chance to attack Izuku, getting him on the torso with Izuku in pain, bearded, and attack Dracula as well. With this time, Dracula slashing Izuku again at the torso, making an X. With Dracula pulling his sword behind him, and then gets ready to thrust Izuku at the chest again, finishing the X off as if it was a target or a bullseye. However, Alucard, Izuku's father, came just in time to cut off Dracula's arm. And Dracula was shocked to see this, with Alucard telling him, "You're no father of mine. My father died a long time ago. Even if you have his heart, you never have his soul." With Alucard unleashing spiritual trains around Dracula. However, this made him completely immobilized. With Alucard telling his son Izuku, "Finish him off quickly, son." With Izuku putting all of One for All's power into his sword, gets ready, pulls his sword back, and then thrusts Dracula's heart. With Dracula completely in agony, vanishes. However, while this was happening, Dracula was peeling off, and it showed that beneath all of this was All for One, with his face teal. However, All for One was still combined with this piece of Dracula, and so he was also disappearing as well, showing that beneath all of this, all of this skin, it really was just All for One, and that it shows that Alucard was right, that this is not his father, and that it's just some lonely man that wants to become the devil by wearing all of this makeup to become the devil that he wanted to be, even though he's just a coward all along. And with this, that is when all of the traces of Dracula and All for One dissipated, with Izuku winning the battle, having his fist up before he passed out, with Alucard carrying his son, telling him that "I'm proud of you," while he was taking him to where the others were at to get him all healed up. And that is the end of What If Izuku Was a Vampire Samurai. I hope you enjoyed this video, and the next one is going to be a Demon Slayer What If. I'm not gonna say which one, the specific what if scenario it is, but it's gonna be a Demon Slayer What If.